think he understands issues of the heart.
First and most important, family is family is family. Everything starts from there. It's literally the thing upon which nations are built.
The values that affect every aspect of Joe Biden's life are grounded in a commitment to family, his own and others. That commitment defines Biden's values. What's right, what's wrong, what's true, what's false, what's important, what's not, what's possible, what isn't.
And so we try very hard to convey to our children that it all begins with family. I think Jill's greatest asset is her character, her ability to rise to any occasion. And here's a woman who married not only me, but a state and 2 children. Her sense of balance is incredible. Jill thinks that it's a mistake for any one of us in the family to be consumed by any one thing. And that it's very important that each of our children have a sense of independence and their own identity. And I think that is absolutely correct. Ashley's 9 years old now. It's not an exaggeration to say, like every father, his youngest daughter is something extremely special. And it's interesting that from the time she's been born, she has been part of this public life.
This is Ashley. I want you to know, I told her that you all arranged this. Yesterday was her birthday, and it's a nice party for you to have for her.
You're not there, Ashley? It's right at sunrise every morning. What are you, Democrat or Republican?
Republican.
Are you really?
I'm a Democrat.
$1 each. Hey, Mr. Hook. $1 for each large.
Are my sons any good?
Yeah.
You're kidding me.
Who's better?
There's been an uncommon bond between my boys and I that is different than anything that I've ever experienced in my life. I truly enjoy being with them. It's not just that I look out for them. They've been looking out for me. There's something special about Hunt. Hunt writes very well. He let me read a piece that he had written about the lake where his grandparents had a home, his maternal grandparents. And they're too old to keep it up, and they sold it. And he wrote a short story about it that was incredibly moving. And I found myself having difficulty reading, occasionally having to put it down to sort of gain my composure. He's a very idealistic kid. Jill kids me sometimes and says, he's listened to too many of your speeches. Ultimately, the distinguishing feature about Bo is how steady he is. He has great insight into human nature. And he's one of those people who will have both the advantage and disadvantage of knowing what other people are thinking. I've been tougher on Bo than I have been on Hunter, according to Bo and Hunter and most observers. He's carried, in one sense, a heavier burden than my other children. But my God, he's not only carried it, he's shouldered it. The way those boys were with me when I was sick, they're not boys, they're men.
How many are 5 years old? Whoa. How many are 6? Oh, we got 2 big guys. How many are 20? There's a 20-year-old guy right there.
It is so difficult for anyone to realize their potential without love, without somebody to believe in them.
Who knows how to say, are you ready now? Can you say spaghetti? Let me hear you say spaghetti.
Spaghetti!
Going to school from 9 o'clock until 3 o'clock doesn't get the job done for a lot of people in this country. For example, we send home tens of thousands of latchkey children every day after school with a chain around their neck, a whistle on the chain, and a key. And they go home and they watch Ninja Turtles. I think we have to have standards that are higher. And not just standards that are higher for some people, but for all people in the system. We have to demand more. We are trying to compete with other nations going into the 21st century. And we're trying to gather up the best among us to lead the way in what will be not a physical battle, but a battle of the minds. A battle of between and among those nations who have produced a generation of workers, a generation of entrepreneurs, a generation of thinkers who have learned to take the fullest advantage of their human potential, and that in almost every case going into the 21st century is not their brawn, but their intelligence. And so one of 3 things has to happen. Either we have to have inherently brighter people, which we don't. We have to have significantly more accomplished teachers, which is very hard to have happen, or we got to go to school longer if we're going to compete.
I think Joe also sees the importance of making sure that children get a good start in life, have healthy self-esteem, feel good about themselves, are ready to start first grade.
But the drugs, you just never know, do you? I mean, you just know no way. I mean, the guy you're about to arrest, the person you're about to pick up, you have no idea whether that person's spaced out and long gone, or whether, you know, somebody's going to act rationally or irrationally.
That's the thing, they don't act rationally with the drugs anymore. You know, you go and minor arrest, sometimes you're not even going to arrest them. They just flip out on you and then you're...
Is the biggest problem crack?
Yeah, I find little valves and things. A few times my kids found needles.
Senator, we have quite a problem down here with drugs.
Are there drugs out your way?
Yeah, hot and heavy. Hear gunshots all the time.
Has it changed much from summer to winter in terms of the drug problem?
Yes, of course. We get a lot of strangers in here.
And people want to get out. People scared to come out of their own house and stuff.
Like, what's the position on curbing the epidemic? What steps are being taken to stop this?
I don't have a lot of good news for you on the drug front, but I do know that we're not doing nearly enough federally to do the part that we committed to do. That's basically a federal problem. If there's any place the federal government has a responsibility to come in with its part, it's there. Because you guys are the ones that meet it on the street. You're talking about 270 to 290,000 crack babies or cocaine-addicted children being born in the country.
If you've picked up that the mother was abusing crack, then there's a question of whether the child goes home with the parents or with a foster home. But you assume if the baby does go home with mom, well, you're sending a baby home to a mom who's doing crack.
What kind of a chance do these kids have?
Intrautero, so we don't know what those people are going to be like, but we're seeing that already teenagers, young kids that have been exposed to this have these problems.
Crack is the only drug they've observed where they will see a mother binging with anywhere up from 15 to 25 hits a day until they collapse. And literally, not only for themselves, but there'll be an infant in the room or a young child in the room that they'll go for days. Not feed, not look at, not, I mean, it's just, it is a, because crack is not, when they didn't have to go IV and they started to smoke it and it had that immediate hit, it became a very popular drug with women as well. And it's just absolutely mind-blowing to think the impact it has on societal structure. We have limited dollars to spend on the drug problem. My argument has been we should take those limited dollars instead of focusing, and if we had all the money in the world, then we should do it all. But we don't, and focus them on those who could be categorized as addicts. Because the addicts, unless we do something to get them out of the stream, they're going to be there forever. They're going to continue to become pregnant. They're going to continue to be in households where there's children. They're going to continue to abuse. They're going to continue to rob. They're going to continue because it is no longer something they can control.
A lot of people out there in government who just sort of talk a good game where the war against drugs is concerned. Joe Biden wages the war.
He told me we'd never be able to have a national drug policy. We have one. They told me we could never and should never have a drug czar, but we have one. They told me we could not pass the toughest crime legislation in the history of the Senate, but we passed it. The only thing that makes, I think, any of us want to go on with what we're doing is if we think it makes a difference. I sure don't want to be involved in a job I don't think is important. I don't want to be involved in something that I don't think matters. And one of the great things about this job is I get up in the morning, and every morning when I put my feet on the floor, I don't look around and say to myself, geez, I wonder why I'm doing this job. I know why I'm doing the job. I may make mistakes doing it. I may be wrong in where I want the country to go, but I know why I'm doing the job.
I walked through a classroom earlier, and there are people in their 20s and 30s who are in there learning English because they want to. I ask one why. I said I want to make things better for me and for my children. Walked downstairs into the typing class. Spoke to 3 women down there. They tell me they're there because they want to make things better.
Is really an important characteristic of his whole service. I mean, the fact is, I know he lives in Delaware. He commutes to Washington, where he works as a senator. And I think that his essence is found in Delaware.
I think Joe is a very strong person. I think he's a very courageous person. But he also has a strong feeling of empathy for other people and for what their lives are like and the hardships they have to go through. And I think he touches people in a very special way.